Hello, my name is Jake, and in this video, we are updating our runner UI Python script, which allows you to run other scripts. You know, the ones that you kind of make that are really handy, but you don't really want to actually execute them because it's kind of a pain to use the command line all the time. So instead, we have a UI that can run your scripts for you. So we are going to make that run within a little icon in the bottom right, at least for Windows as an example. And yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. So let's do it. All right, so to start out, I'll just show you what we have right now. So if I run Python UI, which is this script, we get this here. And I'm going to go over super fast what we're doing here. Basically, we're creating this root, which is this tkinter object. We are creating our runner UI, which is this huge thing here. Check out my last videos if you want to see how all of this works. We're going to be manipulating a bunch of this now to make it work with the icon. But yeah, take a look. It's pretty cool. Then we're going to go ahead and do run main loop, which basically means that this UI is going to pop up and it's going to continually run until you exit it. And then here you can add scripts. You can click add script and you can pick which script you'd like to add. So for instance, in this case, we can click browse. We can do our make transparent. And it's gone. It just disappeared. Oops. Make white transparent, which is what that script does. We can go ahead and then click save. We can confirm. And there we go. Now we have this make white transparent. And then if we go ahead and run the script, we can, because it's a file, we can select which file we want to execute, and we can go ahead and click run. I'm not going to do that because just watch the last video if you don't trust me, or in the future. All right, so that's what we currently have, but we want to make it run in an icon. Now, I've actually done this in a different video before on how to actually create an icon, and we're going to use a very similar method And we're going to use a very similar method that we did last time, which is use pystray. I think that's how you pronounce it, but it's PYS tray. Probably like Pi system tray kind of thing. Anyways, we're going to use that. So let's get that started. I just have my code that I have updated on this screen over here, and then the code that we're doing right here. So if you see me glance over, that's why. So first things first, we have a couple of new imports. We have pillow, which is PIL. If you do pip install pillow, and then pystray, which is just pip install pystray. And from pystray, we're importing an icon, a menu item, and we're naming it item, and then menu, and we're naming it menu. So we can reference it like that. And then from pillow, we're importing image because we want to be able to have an image as, our icon in the bottom. Awesome. Okay. So, so far, if we run this, nothing's really going to happen. So let's go ahead and update our code to actually make something happen. All right. So this is what we've added to start. We have tray reference, which is going to be a reference to our icon. Root, which is eventually going to reference the UI, menu items, which we're going to actually add something to, but initially we're going to set it as an empty list. But before we run it, we're going to add something to it because otherwise it's a pain to close. Then if the name is main, the main thing, then we are going to create an image from this transparent happy face, which is this here, just so we can reference that. Then we're going to set our tray reference to the icon, and we're calling this app runner. And then we're setting in our image as the icon itself. And then we're creating a menu where the menu is a list of items. Now this is a lambda, and the benefit of this is because you can actually have this kind of be a little bit more dynamic because it's a lambda. You can actually update it later on as well, but this is how you probably want to do it if you want to be able to update it. So the reason I'm not going to do this, because if we do tray ref run, there's actually no way to close this without killing the terminal. And I don't want to do that because it's kind of annoying. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a menu item that will allow us to close the icon that's running down at the bottom right. So let's do that. So to do this, we're going to do item, and we're going to call it exit. And we're going to then reference something called stop tray. Now, stop tray is a function which obviously doesn't exist yet. So let's go ahead and add stop tray. So what stop tray is going to be is it's going to just be a simple function. It's actually going to take in an icon and some other stuff that we don't really care about. And this icon is referencing this here. We could reference just tray ref, but it already passes it in, so we can just reference that. Then we're going to do global root to get the reference to this root. And if root does not equal none, then we're going to do some stuff, but we're just going to do stuff here later. It's always going to be none right now, so we'll be fine with that. But then otherwise, we're just going to do icon.stop. And that will allow us to actually stop this icon. Perfect. So if we go ahead and run this, we can see that when it's running, we can come down here and we can see that we now have this little happy face. And if we right click the happy face, we get exit. And if we click exit, well, it exits. Awesome. So that's what we have so far. But we want to add a little bit more functionality. We want to have it actually use our UI. So let's update our constructor for our runner UI so that it doesn't immediately make a UI, because we want to have it running there so we can reference it, but we don't want to actually have it immediately pop up UI when this thing starts running. I'll show you in a second. So let's go ahead and do that next. All right, so let's say runner app equals runner UI, and we already have our root, so we'll pass in root. And then we're going to also pass in a reference to the tray. We'll say tray equals tray ref. And then we're going to pass in something called show UI, and we're going to set this to false. Now, we're going to have to go ahead and add these values or this stuff to our constructor. So we're going to go here. We already have root. And then we have tray is another thing we're adding, and then show UI. And I kind of messed up that constructor a bit there, didn't I? So the reason we want to do this is because we want runner to still be set up, because we want to be able to see, oh, okay, like how many apps do we have set up? Like how many apps are available, and a bunch of other stuff. And we want this runner to be able to actually update our tray. So we should have a reference to the tray. All right, so to start out, we're going to keep runner equals runner, and then we're going to say self.tray equals tray, and then self.showRunnerUI equals show UI. So then we can know within the context of this whether or not we should show the UI. So this really just means that if we wanted to just use the runner UI for other reasons where we still wanted it to work like normal, we can just kind of say that, yeah, make it be true. So we'll set this to actually be false by default. And then we're actually going to create a function that's going to do all of this stuff here. So we're going to go ahead and just kind of press enter a couple times. Then we're just going to do def create UI. And this is, of course, a function within the class. So it has to have self. And then we're going to say if show UI. So if it's true, I guess we could say technically self.showRunnerUI. Then we're going to call self.createUI, right? Because we want to create the UI if we want to be able to show the UI. Now, this is great, but it's actually not going to work super well for a couple of small reasons. The first reason is we don't want to create multiple versions of the UI, because actually what would happen there is it's just going to keep appending it to the same root value. So we're actually going to say if self.root does not equal none, then we're going to return. So the reason we're going to do this is because if we find that the root already has been set, meaning we already have a UI, then we're just going to close. And we're not going to try and create another UI because we already have one. Makes sense. So another thing we need to do here is we need to actually have it so that when we instantiate this runner UI, we're also going to update our tray. because we want the icon to not just have an exit button, because that's not very useful. We want to be able to have it list the apps that it supports and have that actually constantly be updated as we add things. So in order to do this, we're going to create a new function, and we're going to call this self. Well, we're calling it update tray. And update tray, we can go ahead and put right down under here. Let's put it under update list. Sounds good. Now, update tray is going to do a couple of things. First off, we're going to reference the menu items because we actually want to set that menu item value. Because like I said before, when you actually update the value of the menu items for an icon using PyStray, you're actually just saying, okay, re-render the items, like retry. whatever it's currently referencing, do that again. But because it's a lambda, which is what we have down here, this lambda, it means that it's effectively a function that it's going to call. So this menu items is going to be determined whenever it tries to run this. And when you call update, which we'll get to in a minute, then it will actually make it so that it updates this and rereads it and resets the values. So kind of a little fun trick to kind of get around something that's usually just static as soon as you set it. So what we're going to do is do new items equals, and we're going to create a new list. And within here, we're going to do item runner app. And we're going to call self.createUI. So if you click this, the UI should actually pop up. Pretty cool. Now, we'll actually add to this more in the future. Well, still in this video, but not quite yet. Just because I don't want to overload everything yet. So the next thing we want to do is also populate a list of apps that we support. So what we're going to do is do apps equal an empty list. And then we're going to do for I in range of the length of self.runner.list applications. We are going to go ahead and get the app, which equals self.runner.list applications I. Yay. And then we are going to do apps.append, and we're going to append an item. And this item is going to have app.name, be the name of the item. And then we're also going to give it an action. Now, the action is a little bit tricky. The reason it's a little bit tricky is because it kind of needs to be a lambda, right? We need to have it actually reference something, because you can't actually have it say like we did before, where when you actually wanted to run a script, we would have it say, what have you selected? But the issue is with PyStray, you can't actually know which item you have selected. It doesn't really work that well for dynamic things, but you can actually get around this. So let me just show you why this is an issue before we actually do anything. So let's just say lambda, and then we'll print app.name, right? That seems great. What a great option here. So I'll show you why this is an issue. Then we're going to do new items.append, and we're going to, and now we're going to do item apps, and then another menu, and then lambda apps. So this means that we are now going to have an apps item within our list here, and it is going to have a submenu of the list of apps. Pretty cool. Then we're going to do new items.append item exit, because we still need to be able to exit because we're updating our tray. And we'll go ahead and reference stop tray here. Then we're going to do menu items, which is the global value. And then we're going to set it to new items. And then finally, we're going to do self.tray.update menu. All right. I know that was a lot, but let's go ahead and see what happens when we run this. Because right now, we're not going to, well, we can try clicking on some other stuff, but let's go ahead and run this. So we're going to run, and we see our little happy faces come up. And when we right click on this, we now see we have runner app, we have exit, and we now have apps. And apps has the list of apps that we have, the list of apps that we would normally show within the runner, within the actual UI. Now, one of the issues here, though, is this lambda. So if, again, when I go ahead and show this lambda here, if I click on one of these, so let me see if I click make white transparent, we should see it print make white transparent. Sounds great. Everything seems to be working. Let me click WebP to PNG, yay. Make white transparent. I don't think that's what I'm clicking. So what's going on here? Why is that not working? Well, the reason this isn't working is because we're basically looping over and adding these values. But this app here and this name is referencing whatever value was last set, because we're constantly resetting it. It's not a static thing. That's even the case if we make this into, if we make this like an F string where we're actually setting this here. So let me go ahead and exit this, and let me run this again. And we go ahead and WebP, still make white transparent, because this is a lambda, right? So lambda means that this isn't actually executing until later. Now, I tried for a little while to see if I could make this work. And to be honest, it took a little bit longer than I would have liked. But I did eventually get it working. And the way to get it working is kind of similar to our decorator stuff, which if you haven't checked out how to use decorators, check that out right up here. It's really cool. It's like one of my favorite things you can do with Python, although I don't use it enough. But what we want to do here is we actually want to have a function or a definition function method, whatever you want to call it, but have something that actually returns another function. But the reason that's useful is because you can then use whatever the parameters were when you initially called that first function. So let me show you what I mean. So what we're going to do is do self.indirect call app. And what we're going to do here is just pass I. And the reason we want to pass I is because we just care about the index. We care about which item are we actually going to get from the list of applications. So all we have to do now is define this. So what we're going to do here is actually take in the index, but now what, right? If we just print the index, we're going to get the same issue. Something's wrong here. Oh, I need one more bracket. We're going to get the same issue, but actually nothing's really going to work here at all because we're actually executing this as soon as we call this, right? So what we can do is we can define a function within the indirect call app, and it's actually super simple. So all we have to do is just do def run app, and that's it. And then we're going to actually return run app. Now you might say, cool, but this doesn't do anything. And yeah, you're kind of right. But let me do this. Now, this is where all the magic happens. Let's go ahead and run this again. So if I then go ahead and click apps and I click make white transparent, we should see a 1. Great. But if I go ahead and click web to PNG, yay, we see a 0. We're actually getting the index we want. Now, again, the reason this is happening is because we are calling a function, and that function is being passed some value. And this is kind of like its own little value that's stored within memory because something else is referencing this, referencing the value that's returned. But the input might actually change how this function works. So it has to maintain a reference to whatever that input was and at the time that it was actually called. That means that when we call run app, we're actually returning this version of run app, which is this internal version. You can even see I have run app test here because I was trying to figure this out for a while. I was trying to see what values were passed into it, hoping that an index was called or something. It's not. So now we have all this working. So really, we can actually already execute some of our script. We can just do self.showRunPrompt, and we can pass in an index because we already have an index as a value. So with just the few things we've added here, really just this, we can already go ahead and close this. Let me go ahead and get rid of my alpha tester PNG. Run this, go ahead and do web to PNG, yay. And nothing happens. For a second, I was like, oh no, why did that happen? But I remembered why it happened. So the reason this happened is because currently all of our pop-ups are expecting there to be the root to already exist, right? Because all of them are kind of being like, hey, that's the main thing. We're a pop-up based off of the main thing. So we want to make all of them their own thing. So let's go ahead and make that change, and then this will work. So if we go to show run prompt, at show run prompt, we just have to make a couple of small changes. Basically, all we have to do here is make it so that we're not referencing this root. And instead, we just make this TK and make sure that everything is always referencing this run pop-up. And that's it. That should work. So if we go ahead and run this again, and we decide to run web to PNG, yay, it still doesn't work. Yay. And I forgot one more thing. When we do this, we have to make sure that we're actually running this because this is expecting something to run. And we do run popup dot main loop. And now this will work. If it doesn't work again, then I'm going to go crazy. Apps, web PNG, yay! So if we go ahead and do this and we browse, we go to alpha tester and we click run, we should see the alpha tester PNG pop up right there. And it did. Yay. So now we've actually kind of had a lot of this already work, right? We can already run scripts from our little icon here. But what if we want to run the actual app? We haven't clicked this button yet. So let's click it. Oh, okay. Object has no attribute title. Why is that happening? Well, the reason that's happening is because we haven't actually set up the root yet. So when we call here to create the UI, the root hasn't been set at all. And we're trying to set the title to something that hasn't been set. So let's update create UI so that that works. So all we have to do here is just do self.root equals tk.tk. This is just like a main version of tkinter. And then we're going to go ahead and scroll down here and do self.root.main loop. But before we go ahead and say that this is all going to work, we also have to update another thing. What we want to update here is we want to make it so that if it's closed, we kill this reference. Because let me go ahead and show you what happens if I don't have this check. Pretty weird. Runner app. Runner app. Looks great. Runner app. Oh, yay. Yep, they sure work. Not great, right? Pretty bad. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to have this here still, but this isn't going to solve everything because we set root here, but we never reset it to none. So we need to then make something that's going to reset it to none. So I'm just going to copy and paste a little bit of code here. That's going to do just that. So for the tk.tk, the main class of tkinter, you can set a protocol for something. And in this case, we're saying that when the delete window action occurs, we're going to call this onClose. And onClose, we don't need these print statements, is going to do a couple of things. It's going to tell the root to quit. It's going to then destroy the root, and it's going to set it to none. Now, this is super important because root, as we remember right up here, is actually something that's referenced throughout the entire thing. So when we do this, it means that when we click here, run our app, cool. We click here, run our app again, nothing happens because we already have one. But if we click this and we exit and we go ahead and click run our app again, it opens up because this is now the runner app. And if we click it again, works just like it did before. Perfect. We can go ahead and exit there. Awesome. Now, one thing that's also important is we actually want to make sure that if you exit the tray, that we actually do something here because the root could be not null, right? It could be not empty. So we're going to basically do the exact same thing where we do root dot quit root dot destroy, and then root equals none. Perfect. So pretty simple, right? All right. So now we have it so that our UI can pop up. We can actually run and execute our programs. Let's make it so that we can add programs, right? Right now, if we run our script, we have it so that we have make white transparent. Well, let's get rid of that script, and then let's run it again. And when we run it again, we only have the one application, right? That's no good. We want to make it so that when we run it, and anytime we change things, we want it to actually update what's available here. So we need another value here. So let's have another thing here called add app, and let's have this call open add script. Now, if we go here, we're going to have to make the same updates we did before, where this is going to then be TK. And then we need to also make it have self.popup.main loop. Great. Pretty simple. Now, we're going to have to do the same thing for the show adding popup, TK, because again, we want it to all reference that, and adding popup is fine, and main loop. Perfect. Looks good. Okay, so now if we run this, because it's now creating the new value here, we'll get add app. We click add app, we get the pop-up. Actually, hold on. Let me close that first. Let me go here. Apps, only web to PNG. Add app. Make white transparent. We browse. We make transparent. We save. We confirm. Runner UI has no attribute list box. Obviously. Something we probably need to fix there, but that's fine. If we go ahead and close these here, and we go back here, we still just see the 1. But if we run it again, have we actually added the new value? And we have. Now, the only reason we didn't see that update is because we're not actually calling the right things when we go ahead and actually add the app. Because when we add the app, we want it to, I think we call update list, I think. But update list should only run, where is update list? Here it is. So we actually want to update list to do a couple of things. We want to say if self.show runner UI or self.root does not equal none. Then we're okay to update the list, because at this point we know that the list is actually visible, right? But we also want to do update tray, because now we always have a tray. So let's go ahead and run this again. Run our app, make white transparent. We'll get rid of that. We can close it. We have web to PNG, yay. So it's now gone. We add app, make white transparent. I hope MWT doesn't stand for anything bad. And we click save, we click confirm, they close. We go ahead and right click again. And now we have make white transparent, and we can just go ahead and prove that it does work. Cute robot, we run. Boop, boop, boop. Transparent, cute robot. Looks a little messed up. Awesome. So I think at this point, everything is kind of working. We have kind of everything working just as we'd like it to. So just like before in my computer cleaning video, which check out right up here. It's honestly really cool. You can like watch folders for things happening to them. Check that out. I'll leave a link in the description as well. But one thing that's really useful for something like this is to actually have it be an executable, because you ultimately want to be able to just execute this script whenever you want. So how are we going to do that? Well, we're actually going to do a slightly different method than we did in the other video that I referenced. We're going to use something called PyInstaller. You can go ahead and install that with, well, I'll comment up here. We're going to use PyInstaller. And we're going to go ahead and create a exe using this. And this is basically saying for Python 3, which is the version I'm using, we're going to use PyInstaller. We're going to execute a one file, meaning it's a single file we're targeting, which is our UI here. And then we're going to pass it a path, which is the list to all of the basically all of the pip packages we have installed within this. And then we're going to say that we don't want it to have a console pop-up. So let's go ahead and run this. Oh, I got it there. Cool. We will run this and we will wait. It's doing some stuff. Hey, and we're done. All right. So now we will see that there's this dist file here or folder. We can go ahead and open that within our Explorer. Then we can go ahead and double click this. And when we double click this, we can see that we see nothing, but we do see our little happy face. And if we go ahead and try to run something, it works just fine. Oh yeah, sometimes you have to like click this and have it selected in order for it to close. A little weird, but still works. We can open the runner app. We can have it see things there. We can delete scripts. Everything works just like it did when you ran it from the command line. Pretty darn awesome. Also, I guess worth mentioning that when you do that, it does actually update so between sessions. So if we go ahead and look at this again, we still just have the 1, which means that if we go back here, it did remove the value from our YAML. Test cool equals true. Doesn't mean anything. So yeah, so that's it. Now, because we have an exe, we can actually make it so that this exe runs on startup if you wanted to. You can just Google that real quick. It's super easy to do. But it's, yeah, now awesome. So you can now reference these little scripts that you have that are helpful, and you don't have to run them through the command line. You can just have it like a central spot to run any of them. Honestly, I've actually used this a bunch now. I was making this project because I thought it would be neat and a fun way to kind of introduce some different ways to write some Python, but it's actually super useful. So yay, making useful things. So again, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it some love down below. A huge like would be great, or thumbs up, if you will. And consider subscribing while you're down there. I think it's like a very small percentage of you guys are and gals are subscribed, so that would be sweet. But you know, if you don't want to, no worries, that's fine too. That's all for this one. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.